Hello, this is Brian. Today is Saturday, March 19th, 2022. I'm in the Angeles National Forest along Forest Service Route 2 and 79 in the Front Range of the San Gabriels, looking over towards Mount Lukens. Today I want to provide a spotlight on shrubs. That's very appropriate for the time of year we're in right now, which is basically the weather of spring. So today my focus is on the beautiful, brightly yellow flowered bush poppy, and this is Dendromecon rigida. Dendromecon rigida is an evergreen leafed shrub in the poppy family, so its common name, bush poppy, actually true to the family it's in, the poppy family, the Papaveraceae. And you can see these beautiful four-lobed or four-petaled yellow flowers. Beautiful, absolutely stunningly brilliant on these plants. And another thing, another telltale sign are these beautiful grayish-green leaves that are usually quite small, especially on older specimens like this one. This one here has probably been here since 2009 or 2010, after the station fire of 2009 burnt through this area. And I'm going to go more into that in detail momentarily once I segue onto other forms of this plant's ecology. So again, got these narrow leaves, kind of slightly rough textured, slightly, very slightly, more noticeable on larger leaves, more vigorous shoots. But you can see they're kind of narrow and they point at the tip. And they really don't have much of a leaf stalk or petiole. So they're almost sessile, S-E-S-S-I-L-E. So they're almost sessile. I think there's a very slight bit there at the very bottom of the leaf. But this is a fairly typical mature specimen that's been around for several years. Kind of scraggly, not very densely branched, and very brittly woody. So it's very easy to break this plant. So of course, if you're examining it, just be careful. The twigs and the branches break very easily. It's not a very strongly woody plant, as I just mentioned. It's not like scrub oaks and mountain mahogany, ceanothus and chamise, the larger chaparral shrubs who are very strongly woody. But they do get a little bit of a woodiness, especially lower down on the main branches. So what we got is these upper twigs here kind of have a light tannish, grayish, kind of a little bit of a very shallow ridging, barely even noticeable. And then on older trunks and branches, we do get some furrowing in the bark, as you see here. So this one's got some furrowing. So I want to go up to a few younger specimens. These plants can be pretty fast growing because they require less competition to get started, and usually that is a result of a chaparral or woodland fire. These seeds of bush poppies require fire, or at least some type of very strong mechanical disturbance, most likely fire, much more than anything else, for these plants to even germinate. So these plants require basically fire to germinate. As you can see here, the twigs are very long, the branches are very long, they kind of whip out. So it kind of shows that they are quite vigorous and fast growing. It's kind of a telltale sign right there. Another specimen over here. There are a few specimens along here. You see here they can get up to about 5, maybe 7, occasionally up to like 6 or 7 feet tall. So basically, they are one of the first fire-following shrubs. A lot of times you'll start out with herbaceous plants, and then semi-woody or weakly woody plants like bush poppy will come up afterwards. So on more vigorous, fast-growing stems, leaves can actually get quite large. in comparison. And I said these ones are more likely to have a more noticeable petiole, as you see right here. A lot of the smaller leaves barely have anything noticeable, but they're maybe a little bit more noticeable on the larger leaves on the more vigorous, fast-growing shoots like these. So these plants require the ability to grow fast so they can colonize and establish themselves in a highly competitive post-fire world. They got to get those minerals from the burnt soil. They got to get those minerals taken through their roots, and they have to grow quickly before the larger shrubs resprout or grow up from seed, like the ceanothus and scrub oaks. These flowers, again, yeah, I mean, very poppy-like. So sometimes you just gotta enjoy looking at those. They're so brilliantly colored. But now, again, these things are not extremely strongly woody, very brittle. And then, so you get these flowers, and then after the petals fall off, so this is what the flower bud looks like. Very typical in the Papaveraceae. That's what the flower bud looks like. And then it'll open, flower, and then after the flowers wither away, then they turn into these long, narrow seed capsules right here. At the very end of this twig is a seed capsule, which will split in some weird directions to release the seeds that will accumulate after several years of blooming to build up in the soil and germinate. So bush poppy is typically found in chaparral, especially most recently burned, and eventually these are going to start withering away as these resprouted scrub oaks and the much larger ceanothus plants re-establish in this area. So bush poppy is something that can be kind of a fleeting species of plant. Check the range for the description. It is quite common here in Southern California, and the reason why I know is that it's extremely opportunistic. As you see, this area was burnt in the 2009 station fire. So a lot of these plants have been here. So there's a lot of resprouting, and plants are starting to mature a little bit more after the fire. So you notice there's not a lot of bush poppy. Not as much. It's kind of scattered in this area. I have a nice little population behind me, but now really close to the period after the fire is when you're going to probably see it in its most dense form, when there are bush poppies everywhere. See here, it's just scattered occasionally. These ones are probably going to be shaded out by the ceanothus that get much larger. So eventually these will be shaded out and will wither away. But one place I want to discuss is the Holy Fire area. The Holy Fire in the Santa Ana Mountains in Orange and Riverside counties, where lots of land was mowed over by flames. So a lot of those areas around Long Canyon and wherever else you got sunny chaparral, lots and lots, and I mean tons and tons of bush poppies have taken over. And that's pretty normal. Like I said, they they sprout up in mass, like a lot of the herbaceous plants do after wildfire. The fire followers specifically, I mean. But yeah, bush poppy is one of those opportunistic plants that comes up a lot of times in mass. So in areas that have been burned within the last couple to a few years, there might be thousands and thousands of them populating the area. And I think that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for my bush poppy spotlight video. I hope you found it informative. Check the description for a more comprehensive range of this plant, but here in Southern California it can be quite abundant, especially in post-fire areas at low elevations, mostly below 4,000 feet. We're significantly below that right now. We're probably maybe about 3,500 feet, maybe 3,500 feet. So be sure to read the description. I will lay out the more comprehensive range of this plant, but it's definitely a common fixture in recently burned foothill and lower mountain chaparral. So thanks for watching my spotlight. Hope you found it interesting and informative, and I'll see you on the next one.